think those new particle brushes in Painter, those might be an exception where you're going to start to see a lot more of that in art, and people are going to go, oh, that's a particle brush. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because the results you get from it are really cool, but it's also kind of like, you know, if you want really awesome fire, anybody can get really awesome looking fire now without having to do anything more than just take the brush out.
The whole point of Painter, or at least from my point of view, was to be as realistic to realistic media as possible. Particle brushes don't do that. It's the one step outside of, you know, of that kind of thing that Painter does. So if people can easily recognize the particle brushes as particle brushes every time, then they're actually a really bad thing to have in your artwork, at least from my point of view. So when I use the particle brushes, I always make sure that they're either very, very subtle, or I just, you know, I change the settings around so you don't look at it and go, oh, it's a particle brush.
Yeah, I agree.
I haven't actually used the particle brush yet, but I saw some stuff that Mike Thompson did, and you know, Mike Thompson's a painter master, and just from that, I was like, I can tell somebody's going to use the hell out of one of these. Like, because it looks really cool. Yeah, like it looks really cool. He's a painter master. Oh, definitely. I love Mike. He's awesome. Hope you're watching, Mike. But
you got to do him a little YouTube intro video now.
Yeah, Mike's awesome. He's a really good guy too. And but anyway, like I could just tell, like it's one of those things. I'm not gonna say it's gimmicky, but it was so different. Like I need to play with it myself, honestly, but it looks so different. I could tell, like it was one of those things that there's gonna be people who are gonna latch onto that and they're gonna particle brush the absolute hell out of some stuff. And what you're saying,
sci-fi and fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
You instantly look at that and go, superpowers, you know. And for me, it's kind of like, yeah, I love them, but you've just got to be. It's real. You've got to be really careful, you know.
Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. You don't want people to look at the piece and look at the particle brushes and not think about the rest of the piece. You don't want that to be the focus, I think. And that goes for every brush in Painter or any digital application. I don't want somebody to see a stroke and be able to see that that's a brush. I want everything to be cohesive and unified and look like a painting. I don't want one piece to stick out. I think my experience with the particle brushes is at first I was like, I'm not really going to use those effects very much. I might use the smoke and the fire and maybe some light things. But what I did is I immediately went, how can I take these brushes and make them practical? You know, like I like to paint landscapes, so I made particle brushes that paint leaves, and that's totally way, way, way outside of the box for what you use these brushes for. But they work really well because the advantage is that since these little particles move around and can do different things, you get this more spontaneous organic brush stroke. You know, you can't plan it like you can with a regular brush, where if you make a stroke, it's always going to be the same stroke. With these particle brushes, you're going to get a different stroke, and it's going to stray away from your intent. And in a way that feels a lot more natural, because when you're painting with traditional media, you don't get the same stroke. You're going to get a different brush stroke every time, and there's going to be things, happy accidents, as Bob Ross calls them, that you need to just kind of harness and work with. And in a way, you're kind of letting go of control. You're just kind of going at it and doing it, and in doing that, you get much better looking results. They look more organic, and your art looks more spontaneous and natural rather than too digital and too precise.
Those things, it's when the occasion calls for it there. Before Painter came up with this, I spent 3 days in Photoshop handcrafting something that looks exactly the same, line by line. And then Painter came out with these brushes, and I just went, rah! Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's the icing on the cake. You know, you're not going to want to eat a cake if it's all icing. So you got to use it, intentionally and in small amounts, I think. Yeah. But definitely a cool technology.